Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. There is this YouTube channel that I have been requested to watch a few times in the comments of a few videos I've posted in the past few weeks, and just upon seeing the name of the channel, I knew I was in for a treat. And then this was further confirmed by going to the channel itself because, oh my god. Oh my god. The channel is called The Happy Wife School, which is a channel that is run by a woman in her 50s, I think, 40s, 50s. I don't know how to tell the age of people. And basically she is teaching women how to be happy wives. She is also teaching men how to make their wives happy. And by that I mean like make them obey so that they are happy. And her channel, like when I was scrolling through all of her videos, I opened all the ones that I thought would be interesting to watch. And I had so many tabs open. It took me hours to go through these videos. And there were a lot of them. There's a lot that I could say. But I obviously do not have the time to go into all of them today. So if you would like to see a part 2 to this video where I talk more about some of the other videos I don't get to, please do leave a like. When this video gets 10k likes, I will do a part 2. And while you're down there, also don't forget to hit subscribe. Over 50% of you are regular viewers who are not subscribed, and I would appreciate if you were. But yeah, basically this woman sits down and she talks about the way that women think and act and how it's problematic and how we need to change that because we are being bad wives. And it also talks about what men should and should not tolerate and boundaries they should be enforcing very heavily with their wives. And she even runs courses as well, because of course she runs courses as well for both men and women to try to fix their marriages, despite, I believe, not having any qualifications to do that. But when do these people who do online courses ever have any qualifications? She has a lot of videos talking about wifely duties, and a lot of this revolves around intimacy. She has a lot of takes about like sex and intimacy that are absolutely astounding, and I really want to talk about it. I think that there's a lot here that we should dive into and have conversation about. And I know that I've been doing quite a few videos on this sort of topic recently, but somehow all of them are weirdly different whilst being very similar. Before we carry on, I would like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Aura. If you are anything like me, you have received your fair share of spam calls and text messages, etc. Yesterday, I actually almost got scammed out of my Twitter account. It was very stressful. I hate being in those situations. I hate being on the other end of like phone scams and things because they can be so stressful and they can feel so real. And you just don't really know what to do, and it sucks. But that is where Aura is your best friend and comes so in handy. How many times when you open a website are you met with you need to accept cookies to use this website, and you have literally no choice but to accept all cookies in order to just navigate the website that you need to use? It's a lot, right? Like almost every time at this point, right? But what a lot of us don't really know when we're clicking that, because, you know, we don't have a choice and who has the time to read through all of that, is that a lot of the time we are also accepting for the site to store and sell our data and information to data brokers, which means that they profit off of selling your data and your information, which can lead to being taken advantage of in the way of scams, or in more severe cases, identity theft. But with Aura, you do not need to worry about that, because with one simple click, Aura will automatically opt you out of everywhere where your data is being stored and sold, and legally they have to stop selling your data upon opting out. The internet can be such a scary place. Like, you never know what you're getting into. There is so many people who have bigger brains than me who take advantage of me in ways that I don't even know that they're able to do, and can be doing it to you and your family as well. And I want to know that myself and my family are protected and are not left being vulnerable online. So if you would also like to keep yourself protected from data breaches and brokers, then you can go to aura.com/kiwi or click the link in the description and you will get 2 weeks of Aura free, which will give Aura enough time to see if any of your personal data is being exposed. So thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring today's video. Please, everyone, be safe and smart online. So let's take a dive into the Happy Wife Club and see what we as women should be doing to be better wives and how sex for us differs so much from sex for men. And we'll start with this video called Busted, What Causes a High Sex Drive in Women? Aren't we all just so curious to find out?
Ladies, we have to get out of our story that we want sex, we want more sex, that we have the higher sex drive, our husbands don't have a higher sex drive, and we're deprived of sex in our marriages. There are no women married to good men who, after getting married, want to have sex, key piece here, for themselves.
Go. There is so much projection coming off of you right now. Like, I'm sorry. What do you mean? What do you mean? I hate to break this to you, but this is absolutely not true. Like, so untrue. I promise you that there are a lot of women who still want to have sex after they get married. I'm looking you dead in the eyes and like promising you from the bottom of my heart, people who get married still want to have sex and they still want to do that for themselves. I'm sorry if getting married made you want to stop having sex, but I don't think it's fair of you to project that onto a lot of people. This is something that's so interesting to me about the way that people talk about marriage, right? Because like, I personally do not understand what would change between the day before your marriage and the day afterwards. Like, what changes between those events? Because to me, marriage is just like putting your commitment to each other in a contract, right? But if you are already like engaged, if you are in a relationship with someone and you are like intending to spend the rest of your life with them, or even just are in a relationship with someone or are committed to them for however long that may be, I don't understand how just writing that on a piece of paper changes anything. What does the law have to do with how much you love each other? It does not make sense. It's kind of like birthdays, right? The day before I turned 25 and the day after I turned 25, I don't feel any different. I don't feel a year older because I'm actually only a day older. We just passed a significant date, so technically I am a year older. Your relationship dynamic should not change just because you had a party and signed a piece of paper, you know? If you view your relationship as serious and committed and like you want to spend the rest of your life with this person, you should be acting like that before you get married. If everything changes after you get married, you were doing something wrong before the marriage happened. And I know it's a little bit late to fix that, but I think that you're projecting here on the fact that like you view being married in a very different way, despite it being the same. People who view it so differently and who are saying shit like, you don't have sex after you get married, it all dies and everything changes the day after you get married, it means you were not viewing your relationship seriously until after the marriage. So I think what we actually should be doing is promoting the idea of viewing your relationships as serious, whether you are married or not. And the fact that like being married doesn't have to change anything. Marriage should be like a celebration of your love and commitment to one another. It shouldn't be a shift in the dynamic because that doesn't make sense.
There is always a hidden agenda.
You never want to have sex for yourself. There's always a hidden agenda. Girl, I think that's just you. I think you just have a bad relationship with sex and like yourself and your husband. And maybe you shouldn't have gotten married if you're having sex with an agenda.
In the beginning of my relationship with Adam, that's my husband, before we were married, we had sex frequently. I enjoyed sex, but I also used sex as a control mechanism to where I wanted sex more. And my husband has a high sex drive and I wanted sex more, but it wasn't for me. It was a control tactic to have a leash on him. And it came from a paranoia in myself of I was scared he'd be attracted to another woman, or he wouldn't want to stay with me, or God forbid he masturbate. It was a control mechanism. That was my hidden agenda. And for the majority of women who say they have a higher sex drive, the hidden agenda is something linked to control and a control tactic.
Girl, again, down to the marriage thing, right? Why did that change overnight? I don't understand. If your partner was going to cheat on you, it doesn't matter if you're married or not. Like, why did you not trust him before you were married and now you're married, you do trust it? Like, what changed there? You're viewing marriage in a really weird way. Like, nothing actually changed. If you were afraid he was going to cheat on you before, that fear shouldn't disappear just because you signed a piece of paper. Like, he's still the same person. You're still the same person. Like, in general, obviously using sex as a manipulation tactic is not okay. That's fucked up. But I'm just curious about why you would marry someone who you don't entirely trust. If you felt like the only way to keep your boyfriend from cheating on you was to have sex twice a day, why did you marry him? If you thought that if you were not keeping up with that, he was going to leave you, he's not the type of person you want to marry. Or alternatively, he's not that type of person anyway, and you just have paranoia. And if you are paranoid that much, you need to work on that. You should trust your partner. If you are using sex as a way to just like ensure that you control them, that's not okay. And that's also not normal. That's not normal. Don't do that. Trust your partner. Marriage isn't going to solve that. And also, I'm sorry, having sex with someone doesn't stop them from being attracted to other people. And being attracted to other people isn't a crime as long as you don't act on that attraction. You can't stop yourself from being attracted to people. And I love almost implying that like masturbating is like worse than cheating. God forbid he masturbate. What's the problem with masturbating though? I feel like that's an important part of, you know, a relationship anyway. I feel like sometimes it's good to have time with yourself and figure yourself out and make a pleasurable experience just for yourself and to remind yourself of yourself. I said yourself way too many times there. But you know, like, I don't understand what the issue is here. Again, something you need to work on. If you have all these raging jealousy issues, I think you need to work on yourself and on the relationship before you get married. Because you weren't taking the relationship seriously before you got married. And you really should be further into the relationship and in a position where you feel comfortable and secure 100% before you get married.
And one gentleman shared with me, he said, my wife's acting very strange. She knows something, I'm changing and something's different. And she was a woman who had stopped wanting sex and wasn't having sex very often with him. And he said, she's initiating sex with me every day. He said, but she's still not engaged and she's checked out. So, you know, she's not there. I know she's not enjoying it, but she's initiating sex with me every day. And I helped him see that's because she feels her hook's not in you anymore. She's trying to get them back in and she's scared you might leave. This is an example of we weaponize sex.
I think that it is really sad if you were in a relationship where you think the only way to make your husband stay is to have sex with them. If you think that that's like the foundation of your relationship and what is holding your relationship up, that is really sad. The fact that sex is valued above everything else to the point where it's like, oh, my husband is feeling distant. I don't really want to be having sex, but I feel like he's going to leave me if I don't. That sucks. And I love calling that like women weaponizing sex when I would argue that it kind of feels like him weaponizing sex more, kind of in a like, you know, I'll leave you if we don't have sex kind of way. As opposed to, I will have sex with you so you don't leave. It's feels very much like have sex with me or I will leave, you know? If they think that the only way to get their husband to say is to have sex with them more, that's because they've weaponized sex.
That ladies, we have to get out of our stories. We have the higher sex drive and we want more sex. No, it is a control tactic. We're not wanting to have a lot of sex for ourselves purely because we enjoy it. We have a hidden agenda.
It is wild to me that people still view men and women so separately as like separate species and how we view things. We are all just individuals. I love sitting here being like, women, we have to pretend that we have to stop pretending that we want sex more than men. Sometimes they do. Sometimes women do have higher sex drives than men. Like everyone is different. We all function at different levels. We all want different things. We all have a different sex drive. We all have different desires. Like this is not a one size fits all kind of situation. And it is incredibly invalidating to women who have high sex drives and men who have low sex drives to paint everyone with this brush. And it's also really fucked up of you to just be like, women don't actually like sex. We just use it as a control tactic. So, no, we don't, ma'am. You are projecting so hard. Keep that to yourself, maybe. Don't be sharing this as though this is a universal thing. We're not using sex to control people. You are, but like, don't make that my problem. The next video I wanted to talk about is one that is just titled, Why Men Need Sex, which, girl, I don't think anyone needs sex. You are being played if you are being told that they need sex, like they need it, like they need air.
Sex is how your husband feels loved and respected. Your husband is not a woman. He is a man. And sex is incredibly important to a man, and it's where we miss each other.
It is truly astounding to me that men have somehow got the whole world believing this. Men need sex in order to feel loved and validated. No, they don't. No, they don't, though. Firstly, huge generalization. All men are different. There are actually, believe it or not, some asexual men that exist who don't even want sex, let alone need sex. It's wild that they have everyone believing this, including each other. Here's the thing, right? Is that because this is told so many times, it's the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the like, you say something enough times and everyone will believe it's true. I always think about the whole victim blaming thing, right? Of being like, you were asking for it because you were wearing short skirts. And that further validates the fact that, you know, wearing short skirts equals being assaulted. So then people who are looking to assault people will notice someone in a short skirt and be like, oh, she's wearing a short skirt, which means that I will get away with assaulting her, because when women wear short skirts, it means they're asking to be assaulted. It's actually got nothing to do with the fact that like a short skirt is arousing, and more to do with the fact of if you target someone wearing a short skirt, you're more likely to get away with it, because we've been promoting the idea that a short skirt equals consent. You know what I mean? So it's a sort of similar deal in the sense of like, men say that they need sex and like they need sex to function and that we owe it to them and they can't live without it. And then they believe that and they tell each other that, and then they all start believing it and then acting like it. And then we end up in the victim blaming thing of like, well, men need sex, you have to have sex with them. It's like, this is all just bullshit. It's made up so that men get what they want. And maybe they do even believe it at this point because they've been told so many times that it is true. But I promise you, it's not. They will live and they'll be perfectly fine without having sex. And the whole thing of like, men need sex to feel loved. If you don't have sex with them, they're not going to feel loved, is again, you're enforcing the idea that like love equals sex. So if you're telling men this and you're saying this, like if your wife loves you, she'll have sex with you, then men then associate being like, if my wife doesn't want to have sex with me, she doesn't love me, even though that's not true. But that's what they've been told, so that's what they're going to believe. And it just keeps going. Get rid of this mindset, you know? Stop teaching this shit. Love comes in so many forms, and like, yes, sex is a way to show love, and it is something that people can and will do when they love each other, but it is not the end-all be-all. There are so many men who put other things like emotional intimacy above physical intimacy, or other forms of physical intimacy above sex. And they're doing totally fine because they understand and are aware that love comes in many different forms. Like if you only view sex as love and you don't respond to acts of kindness, acts of service, words of affirmation, non-sexual physical touch, like emotional intimacy, gift giving, any of that, if you don't respond to anything else and don't view any of that as love, that is something that you need to work on and is your own problem. Yeah, if sex is the only thing you view as love, that's not okay, and something that you need to work at, because yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. Sex isn't everything. It should not be everything. If you are in a relationship where sex is a number one priority and it is everything, it's not a healthy relationship.
If you ask a good man, what are the top 3 things that are most important to him in a marriage and in a relationship, sex is going to be number 1, if not number 1, 2, or 3.
A good man will have sex as a number one priority. I'm sorry, if sex is a number one priority, I don't think he's a good man. I just don't. If your number one priority in a relationship is sex, you're not a good man. I'm not. I'm sorry. If you view sex above like respecting me as a person, this relationship isn't going to work. And I think that you have a sex problem and you need therapy. Don't think that it is a problem for sex to be a priority in a relationship, or I don't think it's a problem for it to be important in a relationship. I just don't think it should be the top priority. I understand that sex is important, like matching sexually is important. I think that like it is valid to end a relationship if you do not vibe sexually, because that is an integral part to a lot of relationships. And if that doesn't work, then the relationship might not work. And I think that that is totally fair. I just don't think it should be the number one priority in a relationship. I think there are more things that you should care about than sex. And I think that if sex is your number one priority, you have some work to do. Yeah, I think we need to reflect on that. I think that sex can be in your top 10, sure. Maybe even your top 5, whatever. But if it is your number one priority, no. Unless you are in a casual dating scenario, in which case, fine. Go date and have sex with whoever you want. Doesn't matter. Like, sex can be your priority. If you were in like a committed relationship and you were prioritizing sex over like what? Kindness, respect, trust, love, support. Like, sex comes above all of that. I don't want you. Get out. Leave. Immediately. Thank you.
But you have to understand, when you chose to get married and you made vows and you made a commitment to your husband, you took on the role and responsibility to have sex in your marriage and enjoy it as a part of a healthy relationship.
I don't think viewing sex as an obligation is very healthy. I think that when you say your vows, you are promising to love each other and respect each other and support each other. And I think that also means that you only have sex when you want to, not when you feel pressured to. And I think that if your relationship remains healthy and stable and you both give and take the same amount and you communicate, you can carry on having a very healthy sex life. A lot of the time sex lives fall apart because, we see it happen all the time where women are forced to take on like way more responsibility than they should, and they feel taken advantage of in their relationship. And then men will complain about not getting sex. And it's like, you're not giving the same amount of effort into the relationship. If you are not putting in the same amount, they're not going to put out as much. Relationships where partners are equal have fulfilling sex lives. Overall, they have more fulfilling sex lives. So I think that the way to look at this more is that, yeah, you should be taking your vow seriously in the like, love each other, support each other, be there for each other, help each other out, like, and then maybe you will have a fulfilling sex life. But if you aren't fulfilling all of those other vows, then healthy and enjoyable sex is not going to happen.
Women need to understand that sex is not an option.
Sex is optional, though. like it is, though. You can have perfectly healthy relationships without sex. It is optional. If sex isn't something you want to do, you do not have to do it. Does it mean the relationship might not work? Yeah, sure, the relationship might not work, but that doesn't take away from the fact that sex is optional. You do not have to have sex if you don't want to. That is just straight up fact.
When we have sex from a place of obligation or as a chore, we feel used, we feel resentful if we're doing what we're supposed to do. That's a wonderful example of being nice is doing sex to check the box and say done. Maybe I bought myself a week or two and then shutting down. That's not okay in a marriage. That's a cruel way to treat your husband, who is a man in which this is very important to him.
I don't know what you want here. Like you said just before, having sex is an obligation. And then right here, you're like, you can't have sex out of obligation. You have to do it because you want to, because it's important to him. And it's like, which one is that? You can't force yourself to enjoy something if you don't want to be doing it. If your husband wants you to have sex that you enjoy, he needs to be helping out and making sure that you enjoy it. You know, you need to have communication and discussions because it is not entirely a you problem. Having sex takes two. Like it is the both of you. If it's not working for you, maybe he can help you through that. You know, like if there's something he could be doing that could help this situation, then you need to have that conversation. You cannot just be like, your husband doesn't have to change or do anything. You have to fix everything. You have to have sex and you have to enjoy it. You cannot bring him into this because he enjoys it and he wants you to enjoy it. And it's so cruel of you to not enjoy it. Like, I can't help that. You know, like you can't just force yourself to be in the mood or force yourself to enjoy it. That's not how this works. There needs to be specific circumstances. People need to have specific needs met. There needs to be a conversation. This is between two people. I also would like for all women to enjoy sex with their partners. I think that we shouldn't be doing it out of obligation. We're on the same page here. Everyone should be enjoying sex. However, I don't think that we should be taking 100% responsibility for that. I think that it needs to be a conversation. I think that like it is unfair to blame women and get mad at women for not enjoying something because it means so much to their husbands when their husbands aren't doing anything to make it more enjoyable. The best way to solve this problem is to have conversations, communication, and no expectations. Like communication, not expectations, and understand that sexuality is fluid and circumstances and desires change with time, and that needs to be communicated, understood, and respected. This next video is called 5 Non-Negotiable Boundaries Good Men Must Have with Their Wives. It's a wild ride. So buckle up for these 5 boundaries because there's something. There's something.
What are these 5 non-negotiable boundaries good men must have with their wives? And that if your wife is engaged in these behaviors, she's basically telling you that I'm thinking and planning to get a divorce. Number 1, it is never okay that your wife comes to you and says she is bored and unstimulated sexually and wants to open the marriage or any version of that, which allows her to have sex with another man.
I think this is circumstantial, though. Like, I think that coming to you and sharing this is a much better alternative to going behind your back and cheating on you, for sure. I understand that not everyone wants to be in an open relationship, but I think that it, like, shows a great deal of like trust and like strength to come forwards and be open with this, and like you can offer other solutions, like ask about what is missing, like why she's feeling this, if there's anything you can do. You can have a conversation and say why you are or are not comfortable with this. Like, I don't think it's an inappropriate question to be asking. I understand that like we live in a very monogamous society and we may feel undervalued when that happens, but like that's an internal issue that we have to deal with. I don't think it's a bad conversation to have. I think it can even be a good conversation even if it doesn't end up being like, you know, you actually open the marriage. I think that you can learn a bit more about each other and like develop deeper communication by just starting this conversation and having it. I understand that like if you have established monogamy and you have established that you never want to open the marriage, you can feel a bit taken aback by it, maybe a bit betrayed by it. All it warrants is a conversation. I don't think it warrants divorce, and I don't think it's necessarily leading to divorce. It's just a conversation that can happen, and I don't think should be as controversial as it is.
Number 2, it is never okay for your wife to say that she wants to have a friendship or some sort of platonic relationship with another man under any circumstances.
This one is always so wild to me because this is a boundary that so many people set. So many of these like weird, strict hetero relationships have this boundary of like, you are not allowed any friends of the opposite gender. And it's like, why? I don't get it even a little bit. And maybe this is to do with the fact that like, I'm queer. Most of my friends are queer. I don't have a gender preference, right? Like, I don't care what the gender of my partner is. So I have the potential to be attracted to anyone, no matter their gender. Does that mean when I'm in a relationship, I'm just not allowed friends? Like, in general, I'm not allowed to have any friend? Does it mean like lesbians in relationships aren't allowed to be friends with other women? Like, this rule only ever applies to straight people. And I just think it's so funny and so ridiculous because that's not how attraction works. Just because you're attracted to a gender doesn't mean you're attracted to every person of that gender, right? And even if you were, just because you are attracted to someone doesn't mean you act on that attraction. Have some trust, man. If you don't trust your wife enough to have a male friend, you shouldn't have married her. If you are so insecure that your partner cannot have friends, you are not ready to be in a relationship. You have some trust issues you need to work on. And then on the flip side though, is this about you not trusting your wife, or is this about you not trusting men and the intentions of men? Because to that I say, if something happened, like, and your wife and this man, like, if something happened between them, right? Either she was gonna cheat on you, whether it was with a friend or not. If she is going to be unfaithful and cheat on you, it doesn't matter if she's friends with the man or not, that's going to happen. And if she wasn't, then she has been taken advantage of, and that's not her fault and could happen from anyone, whether it's a friend or not. So like, being friends doesn't actually change the situation.
Under this, it's never okay for her to go visit an old male friend or boyfriend. Do not let her gaslight you into thinking that that is okay.
Again, why? This I wanted to bring up purely because I think it's really funny. Like, my uncle and my auntie, they've been married for coming up 25 years, but they were together for like 10 plus years before that. And he like occasionally will go overseas with his ex-wife because like they trust each other, you know? She's still friends with her old boyfriends. He will literally go on holiday with his ex-wife because they're friends. Like, they trust each other and they love each other. So that's a thing that can happen. And no one is suspicious of anything happening because they wouldn't do that. And that is a healthy relationship. Yeah? You should be able to trust your partner regardless. So like, it's possible. It's a you problem. If you don't want your partner to have friends, that's a you problem, not anyone else. And you should work on that.
It's not okay for her to try to get male attention by posting inappropriate pictures on Instagram or anywhere else for that matter.
I will have you know, when I am posting quote unquote inappropriate photos on Instagram, I am not posting that for male attention. I'm not actually posting that for any sexual sort of reason, for like anyone to try to hit on me or approach me or anything. I am posting that for the girlies. I am posting that because I think that I look good. Maybe this has to do with how I experience attraction, right? Which I find really interesting because I didn't think that I was different in this. But realizing that what I experience is not attraction, but is merely just aesthetic appreciation. I really thought that that's what everyone was doing. Like, sexualization makes no sense to me. Like, I do not get it. I've never seen a body in my life and been like, sex thought, not a thing that happens. I will see a body and I can be like, that is a fucking beautiful, stunning body. Oh my God, they're so hot. But there's no objectification or like sexualization in that thought at all. And so when I post photos of myself in my underwear or my bikini or like whatever, in like a nice tight fitted dress or whatever, it's because I think I look good. And I think other people deserve to appreciate how good I look. I do like it when people say like, oh, you look hot, you look so good, like whatever. Like that's nice to hear. It's good. I like feeling good about myself. Sometimes I feel good and it's nice to hear that from other people. But that's not got any devious intentions. It's just about like appreciating beauty. You know, there doesn't have to be sexual intent in that. There doesn't have to be any intent outside of like people can appreciate beauty. It doesn't, not everything has to be about sex, man. You know, you can just appreciate a body without it being sexual. That's what it is. And even if there are men being weird and like offering, you know, like sexualizing her or like in her DMs or whatever, as long as she doesn't act on it, who the fuck cares, man? Who cares? You exist in the world. People see you. You know, people are going to think what they're going to think. It's okay to feel hot. And I think it's also so funny because like trophy wives are a thing, right? Like, I find it really funny that men are allowed to post photos of their girlfriends, their wives, etc., looking hot on their Instagrams. They're allowed to parade around their wives to show everyone, look how hot my wife is. But it's not okay for her to do it herself. It's totally fine for men to look and ogle and objectify as long as the man is the one who is in control of the situation. We aren't allowed to be in control of our own bodies and how people perceive us. Men are allowed to be in control of how other men perceive us, though. We are allowed to be sexualized as long as our man is the one permitting the sexualization. Right?
Number 3, it is never okay for your wife to not be freely open to what is on her phone and share her password. If she is withholding that from you or saying it's her property and her privacy, or she is secretly texting and messaging or going into another room to have a conversation she doesn't want you to hear, if she's on WhatsApp and has a passcode on it that you can't get into, you can know she's hiding something and has devious and immoral intentions.
No. This girl, like, you have so many insecurities. These people have so many insecurities for absolutely no reason. You need to have more trust, man. Like, nothing has to be this deep. Just trust people. I cannot imagine living my life with this much fear and insecurity. It's astounding to me. Like, I cannot imagine how hard life must be to think this much. And I'm an overthinker, right? But I trust people and I love people. I overthink shit when it's like from strangers, sure, but the people in my life, like I trust your intentions. Like me personally, sure, I don't care if I'll give my phone password to whoever. I don't care. But the reason I do that, the reason that like my partner has my phone password, my mother, my sister, all my friends, like I will hand you my phone and just give you my password. I don't care. The reason is that the people in my life I trust are not going to go through my shit. If I don't give you my phone password, it's because I don't trust you. Because I think you're going to go through my shit and I don't have anything to hide, right? It's just I'm allowed privacy, you know? Like, that's the thing, is that, like, hiding something from you does not necessarily mean bad. It just means people are allowed privacy. Like, I don't want you going through my text conversation. You're gonna, like, look at my text to my friend and see that I sent 50 photos of Bangchan. Like, you don't need to see that. That's not for you. That's for me. You don't need to go through my DMs or look at my photos or, like, read my text messages. Like, why do you need to do that? I don't like that you don't trust me. If you feel the need to go through my phone and my messages, then I know that you don't trust me, which then makes me reluctant and not trust you. As soon as you demand my phone password, no. Now I don't want to give it to you because why do you want to go through my shit? Why don't you trust me? Trust is a two-way street, you know? That's what I'm getting at. I think that, like, you don't need to be going through people's shit. I mean, I grew up in a house where privacy was very valued. Like, my parents did a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong. But one of the right things was privacy was valued. Like, my mom has never, ever in my life gone through my phone because she never wanted me to feel like my privacy was invaded. She doesn't even watch my videos because she's like, that's your safe space. That's for you. I don't want to invade your space. She said that, like, if there's any videos I want her to watch, then I can send them to her and she'll watch them. But she does not watch my videos because she doesn't want to invade my privacy. And so like it's unfathomable to me to like think that you are owed someone's private information and spaces. Like I have never had the urge or desire to go through anyone's phone or messages, partner, friend, whatever. Like that's never been my business. Like I don't understand why you feel the need to do that. Just trust people.
It is never okay for your wife to go on a vacation on her own. If she comes to you and says, we should go on separate vacations, I just need to get away on my own and be alone and have some space to myself. Again, she has devious and immoral intentions. This is code for I am looking to hook up with someone and you will never know.
Every single thing. She's like, everything a woman does means that she wants to cheat on you. I am obsessed with it purely because this video started off with her being like, women don't like sex. Women use sex as manipulation. Women don't enjoy sex. And here she's like, women will take every opportunity they have to go have sex. Like, go. I think that you have some like commitment issues. I think you have a lot of trust issues. I think that you are not giving very good advice to anyone because, believe it or not, sometimes we just need alone time. Sometimes taking time for yourself is very important and I think can actually be very helpful in a relationship. Sometimes you need space apart. That's okay. You don't have to be glued to each other 24/7. Are you against men taking like boys trips? Are you against that? Probably not. I wouldn't imagine so. Why can't women take time for themselves? Let women have holidays by themselves. It's very therapeutic. I think a great thing to do. I would love to take more holidays by myself. If I had the time, I so would. Not everything is about trying to cheat. Sometimes people just want a break and some time to themselves, and that's okay. Okay? Okay.
Number 5, you want to know it's never okay that your wife not agree or fiance not agree to sign a prenup. If done well with a really good lawyer, they are very effective. And you do not want to marry a woman who is not willing to sign a prenup.
I think that this is circumstantial. If the two people who are getting married are working individuals, you both have your own source of income, you both have, life experience, whatever, then yes, I think that you should sign a prenup because I think that if the marriage ends, it'll make it a much more tidy. It means there'll be much less like resentment, it will be much cleaner and you can get it over with like much quicker. I think that a prenup is a really good idea for that situation. However, I think if you are having a traditional marriage where like, the woman stays home, she doesn't have a job, especially if she doesn't have any experience or qualifications. If she is not working and she is a homemaker, then I do not think you should have a prenup. I think that if the marriage ends, she is entitled to half because she has spent all of this time working. She's just been working for you. And I think she deserves to have a cushion to fall back on because if you have a prenup there, then you have everything. She has nothing. And it opens the door for financial abuse. If you sign a prenup and you have a job, you have a ton of money, and she would be left with nothing in a divorce, that means that the relationship is at a massive power imbalance and you have a situation where, she can't leave because she has no cushion to fall back on. She has no way to get a job. She has no money. She has no way of getting out. And so by not signing a prenup, you are removing a level of financial abuse that can exist there. So I think prenups can be very important and very good, but I do not think that they are always the right call. And I think that it is very circumstantial based on the marriage. I actually had a couple more of her videos saved that I wanted to talk about, but I've been here for an hour and a half. So I think that I'm going to leave it here. If you want a part 2, please do not forget to leave a like. When I get 10K, I will make a part 2. If that is something you want to see, please do let me know. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Stella, Trippy Day 27, Bay the Trucker, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic PT, LJ James D, MA Ping the Games, Blaze, It's Craiglow, Phil the Duck, Jesse A, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Lady Nutbar, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Samuel, Chris, Ellie, Alexis, and Bobby. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos 1 to 5 days early and ad-free for those days. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes, you replace